What's going on, guys? Welcome back. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Pure Evil MMA. Let me fix my mic really quick. Boom. Let me bring you guys in. Stewie motherfucking Griffin checking in. What's going on, Stewie? Saying he's high as a motherfucker. Give me 1 second, you guys. Let me just set y'all up. Since I flicked my fucking camera before. And it flew across the room. Alright, so let's get into today's show, man. I mean, Ultimate Fighter Season 27 just wrapped up here. Israel Adesanya going up against Brad Tavares and getting the win in a decision, which is really no surprise, honestly. Or is it? Because going into this fight, you got to remember, a lot of people out there saying, this is Israel's third fight inside the UFC. Is he ready for a top 10 opponent? I was even saying that. And I'll tell you what, one thing I learned tonight about Israel Adesanya is that even though he is a kickboxer coming into a game, 50 fights, only lost like 2 of his kickboxing fights, I think he has what it takes to be in the top 10 of this division. Brad Tavares is a very tough opponent. And I said this last time. If you look at Brad Tavares back in like 2013, 2014, you'd realize that he fought some of the top echelon guys in that division. But most recently, even though he is on a 4-fight win streak currently, he's ran into a little bit of trouble tonight against a guy who was on rank, which got to be a little embarrassing, but shows us that Israel Adesanya is definitely ready for the next step. And that's got to excite a lot of people out there, because you got to remember what this game is all about. It's about watching these young, up-and-coming prospects making a big name for themselves. Now, that was the whole point of the Ultimate Fighter Season 27 finale. So let's look back at some of the other fighters that won tonight. And my pick right off the bat for Fight of the Night goes to Luis Pena, man. I mean, tell me I'm biased there. I think he went out there and proved that if he did not get injured in that fight that he had in the Ultimate Fighter, that he would probably have made it to the finale and put on one hell of a performance. I think Joe Giannetti and Mike Trezano put on a great fight. The second round, really weird. We're going to get into that in just a minute. And then to end the show, we're going to rate out of 10. So really quickly, start the show off, guys. Make sure you're following me down here below. Subscribe to Pure Evil MMA on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, Podomatic, and now on Spotify. Eddie, I fuck with this channel. All right, Stewie. Let me pull the chat room in so you guys can see. But if you guys have any questions, let me know. Here, I'll let the audience see it. Even though you're going to see it already, which I don't know how to get around. But looking forward to what's next with Joe Giannetti. I mean, the kid's only 22 years old. I think that out of all the fighters this season, the 2 guys that stood out have been Joe Giannetti and Luis Pena. I wouldn't have minded to see Joe Giannetti get another shot, and I do believe that he will get another shot. But that second round, man, that was so weird. There was some weird position they had there where they were just tapping on each other's butts. Little upset that, honestly, they did not stand him up a little bit sooner. Harvey Weinstein checking in. What's going on, Harvey? But Roxanne Modafferi also getting the finish against Barb Honchak, a pioneer of the sport, and Roxy's first UFC finish. I mean, the girl's been in the sport for so long, open up pioneer for women's MMA, and I would have been happy either way with either Barb or Roxy getting the win. But I was a little upset with Jimmy Smith not knowing what Roxy was saying there in her speech. A little upset. I mean, you don't watch Dragon Ball Z, Jimmy Smith? Come on. Tonight, there was some breaking news. The Ultimate Fighter Season 27 come to an end, but there's still one more season left. Ultimate Fighter Season 28 going down. Coaches being Kelvin Gastelum against Robert Whittaker, which I don't know if I'm for. I was a little weirded out about DC versus Stipe, and that ended up being a great season. Great coaching staff, and we're going to find out who wins tomorrow. But I don't know. Kelvin Gastelum and Whittaker, I don't think they're the most entertaining outside of the cage. Very entertaining fighters to watch. But outside of the cage, I don't know what they're going to really bring to the table. I mean, for it to be the last season, I think it could have been a better idea to go with Chris Cyborg. I think Chris Cyborg has a bigger name than what Whittaker has right now and Kelvin Gastelum. And you guys can yell at me all you want about that, but I do believe that that's true. Chris Cyborg is the next female star, if she isn't already, and I would like to see the UFC put a little bit more behind her, especially in that 145-pound division. They have not built a division at all. There's no one in there. You got Megan Anderson, Holly Holm, you got Amanda Nunes kind of like hanging in the balance, and that's a fight I would want to see. So I was kind of hoping it was going to be Cyborg versus Amanda Nunes. That would have been money. Am I wrong? For a 145-pound division, you have 3 girls in that entire division, but yet you want to open up Actually, wait. I think this is going to be a heavyweight season. Let me check really quick because UFC could use some more heavyweights. All right, so the name of the season is actually the heavy hitters. Wow. Okay, I'm down with this. Maybe I might not be down with the coaching staff. Check this out, though. So this is going to be going down. Let me see the date for this. When will this debut? All right, so it's going to be premiering August 29th on FS1, running through November 28th, which means the finale will probably be in December. And you got to remember, Whitaker is injured currently with, I believe, a broken hand. So they probably might push that fight a little back. We might not even see it by the end of the year, but hopefully, I'm sure they're aiming for December like usual. However, this is a heavyweight season. Oscar, watch out, bro. Let me just double check. Yeah, so Ultimate Fighter Heavy Hitters premiering August 29th on FS1. Goes by Robert Whitaker and number 4 ranked contender Kelvin Gastelum. Whitaker 21-4 record, Kelvin Gastelum 16-3. That's going to be an interesting matchup. And Kelvin Gastelum, there's a lot of people out there that think that he should have got his title shot already. But let's look at Kelvin Gastelum's record because there's definitely a reason why he hasn't. I mean, missing weight is a huge part of it. Let me see, upcoming. Wait, no. And at the end of the show, guys, we're also going to be previewing really quickly tomorrow night's fights. My fight of the night pick, though, if you're not going for Mike Perry versus Paul Felder, I mean, you're absolutely out of your mind. And that's going to be a very interesting fight, without a doubt, because you got to remember at the same time that Perry, even though that he's lost against similar opponents like Alan Jouban, this is his time to really clear his name and prove himself to the MMA community and the UFC brass to show them that, like, listen, I'm a top contender in this game. I have what it takes. I'm not just this one-punch guy, and I'm working on my game to become more well-rounded. And if he can get a win over Paul Felder, he will, without a doubt, prove that in my books. But I will say this. I do believe Paul Felder has what it takes to beat Mike Perry via decision. I do believe that fight's going to go to a decision. But let's look at this middleweight division. We got Robert Whitaker as the champ, the Reaper. Right below him, you got Yoel Romero at number 1, the Soldier of God, which is, debatable if he should be number 1 contender after losing to Robert Whitaker twice. Then there's Luke Rockhold, Chris Weidman, and then Kelvin Gastelum. Now, you might be wondering why Chris Weidman is not one of the coaches on this season, and somebody tweeted this out before when this was mentioned. I mean, at 34 years old, former champion, yeah, he has a bigger name, but also have to remember he was recently on a 3-fight losing streak and only has 1 win, and that win to Kelvin Gastelum. I mean, they could have set that rematch up for the number 1 contender, but to have for the title and for it to be the last season of Ultimate Fighter, needs something else on that table. So so far in my books, this is a 2 out of 3. I mean, you got the heavyweights there. You got an enticing matchup, but the one takeaway, I do not think that these are the most entertaining 2 guys that you could pick out of everybody. But let's look at Kelvin Gastelum's record as of late. He's on a 2-fight win streak, his last 2 wins being Jacare, which is very impressive at UFC 224. I did not think Kelvin Gastelum had what it took to beat Jacare Souza, especially after Jacare's fight before that, where he was like bedridden. His wife had to feed him and all the shit. And then he goes in there and just wrecked Derek Brunson. They're just like, wow, can Kelvin deal with that? And man, Kelvin bit down and went in there and got the win just months ago, back in May. And before that, getting that knockout over former champ Michael Bisping. So yeah, I believe this is a good shot for Kelvin Gastelum to really prove his ground and finally get a shot, because he's fought some of the top guys in the division, like Chris Weidman, like Vitor. His win over Tim Kennedy, win over Johnny Hendricks, win over Nate Marquardt, win over Jake Ellenberger. I mean, Rick Story he's beaten. Uriah Hall, going all the way back to 2013. And man, I couldn't be any happier for Kelvin Gastelum. Even though I made that remark of saying not the most exciting guys, this is a very exciting matchup to see how these 2 are going to be interacting. And I hope we're going to see a little beef throughout the season. I am asking for beef. You gotta remember, this is the entertainment business. You are going to be on TV. If you don't want that life, don't take the shot. We want guys like Rampage Jackson there. We want guys like Conor McGregor, Uriah Faber, to go in there and mix things up and excite the upcoming fight. Even though Uriah didn't fight Conor McGregor, the Jose Aldo fight was just enough. That being said, though, what do you guys think about this? The heavy hitter season, I do not know who's going to be on this season. Maybe you guys can reach out to Nolan King. Maybe he has some updates. But I do not see any articles or anything written about this. This news just broke about 3 hours ago. So I am looking forward to that, and I'm going to be talking with James McSweeney about this as well, who it kind of seemed like James kind of knew about this because when we were talking about this on our podcast, James McSweeney from season 10 of The Ultimate Fighter, Team Rashad vs. Rampage, on episode 2 that we just did, we made our predictions for DC versus Stipe as well. If you guys want to check that out down below here. Listen, James was saying, he was like, it's sad that the Ultimate Fighter's come to an end, but they need more heavyweights. So I really think that James knew something. So maybe we'll find out that somebody that he's trained with or something along that path. Usually when guys are on the Ultimate Fighter, we usually know a lot of the up-and-comers because we interview a lot of the up-and-comers here on Pure Evil MMA and throughout the community, talking to a lot of these guys on social media. All right, so really quick, let's run down the results of this fight that went down tonight. Big shout out to the Fantasy League. Let's pull up the Fantasy League real quick. Let me log in because I was actually doing really well tonight. I had a couple of picks in there that went that got me the bonus, but I did lose the main and co-main event. Jay Cutinello versus Brad Katona. You got Katona defeating Cutinello by decision. Another split decision. We had a lot of split decisions tonight, I'll say that. Alex Caceres going in there, getting the win via decision against Bravo. Roxanne Modafferi getting the win over Barb Honchak at round 2 via TKO. DeCherico getting the win as a big underdog here, going up against Marquez via decision. Del Rosa getting the finish over Rachel Ostovich, where she was struggling in that first round. I do not like seeing Rachel get the loss. Now she's moving to 4-4 on her record. She's such a draw. She's a great fighter, and she's also very beautiful, and that works for her. And like I said, Luis Pena, man, making his UFC debut big way, man. Pena defeating Smolin by submission at 3 minutes and 32 seconds of round number 1, making Smolin look so out of place. He deserves that $50K, and I really hope that Dana White is giving that to him. John Gunther gets the win over Zuniga. Bryce Thugnachi Mitchell getting the win over Tyler Diamond in a decision. Matt Bassett coming up short via decision. And Mershart getting the win by submission at the end of round 2. So a lot of decisions tonight. Let's really quick wrap this up and say, let's listen. Looking at this card going into it, man, I had to say, I gave this a 6 out of 10. There was a lot of interesting matchups, but if you're a fight fan that didn't watch the season Ultimate Fighter, you're probably not going to know a lot of the names on the season. So I gave it a 6 out of 10 looking forward into it. Coming out, I think it deserves a 6 out of 10 as well. A free card, International Fight Week. If you look at some of the previous cards that we've had in previous years, how does this match up to them? How does this match up to Chad Mendes versus Frankie Edgar? How does this match up to what we had what did we have last year? I can't even remember. But I do believe that the main event, it was good, but it wasn't the best. Throughout this night, you have all these decisions, and I say it all the time. If you don't have finishes in your main event and co-main event, it's going to take a big hit on how people feel about the card afterwards. But we also have UFC 226 to look forward to tomorrow. We have DC versus Stipe, which, man, if you're not at the edge of your seat, if you're not going to be tossing and turning tonight thinking about what's going to happen tomorrow, where you have DC, who's undefeated at heavyweight, training next to Cain Velasquez, who should be in this position, if not John Bones Jones. But DC earning the shot. And a lot of people out there are being like, could he be the greatest of all time if he wins this? I'm so sick of hearing greatest of all time. Maybe one of the greatest in the era, maybe one of the best. But when you say the greatest of all time, there can't be more than one in a division. It can't be thrown around as much as it is in the MMA scene. And it's kind of a disgrace. It's almost a joke in the MMA scene how much people say this. My Mount Rushmore is always switching up with people. I believe if there's a greatest of all time, you stick with that decision. If you're going division by division, maybe you say the best of the division, not the greatest of all time. There can only be one spot for the greatest of all time. Does anybody agree? But for DC, if he goes in there and he gets a win over DC, he will be one of the best. If DC wins, if Stipe wins, he's going to be the number 1 heavyweight to defend the title that many times. Could that make him the best ever? I don't think so. Maybe in that division. Do you get my point here? What do you guys feel about this? I made my predictions with James McSweeney. You guys can check that out down below. But really quick, I'm going to go for DC to win probably in the 4th round. I got DC winning. Co-main event is pulled between Max Holloway and Brian Ortega, if nobody found that out now. Unfortunately, that's a huge spoiler for you. But let's look at the rest of this card that we got upcoming tomorrow. Even though I previewed it before, it's only fair that you guys here on the stream get a little glimpse inside. And I'm saying fight of the night potential. Paul Felder versus Perry all day. Dan Hooker on the card as well. Francis Ngannou versus Derek Lewis. Man, that could be the main event. That should be 50K all day. My pick for that, I know everyone wants to know, Derek Lewis. I'm going with Derek Lewis. I think that he's the more natural, bigger guy. If you look at Francis Ngannou and look at his past, you realize that he kind of grew into that big muscular body. And if you know anything about weightlifting and strength and conditioning, those kind of guys deflate quick. And yeah, he has a lot of power in his hands, but I think the more natural power is going to be in Derek Lewis. I think Derek has what it takes. He's proved himself against adversity before in the past, against Travis Brown, where he was losing in that first round, got hurt. I thought he was going to get finished. Comes back and gets the win over Travis Brown. Michael Chiesa versus Showtime Pettis. I am going for Showtime Pettis there. Khalil Roundtree versus Gokhan Saki. I hope Saki brings it to the table, man. He was losing that first fight that he had in the UFC and then comes back to get a crazy sling knockout over his last opponent. But Roundtree, man, he's the type of opponent that will stand and trade with them. So that should be another amazing fight. Then we have Uriah Hall versus Costa. Man, number 9 and number 10 in that division. I would love to see Uriah Hall win, but I am kind of rooting for Costa to win that. Then you have a Sun Sal versus Rob Font. I got Sun Sal there. Lando Venata versus Close. I'm hoping Venata wins that. And Max Griffin below that. I'm hoping he wins. Dan Hooker below that. And Jamie Moyle below that. Guys, let me know what your picks are on Twitter, evil_echo. Make sure you subscribe down below here on the YouTube channel and also at Pure Evil MMA on Instagram as well. Guys, subscribe on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, now on Spotify. I hope you guys had a great night. I rate this card 6 out of 10. Tomorrow, man, I'll be doing the same exact thing, so I hope you guys join me tomorrow. Guys, last but not least, I'm Evil Eddie from Pure Evil MMA, myMMAnews.com. Where now goes to the end. Behave yourselves.